6 months in, Steve, and here we are, turning back on the campaign promises. Mark Levin was one of the biggest never-Trumpers when President Trump was running for president. So it absolutely makes me sick. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth that he's one of the voices that is constantly texting and calling President Trump's phone and showing up at the White House. People like me, regular people like me, donated to President Trump. We showed up at his rallies. We voted for him. We truly supported him. I've supported him the entire time. Mark Levin was a never-Trumper. Compared President Trump, claimed that he was the same as Code Pink. All of this horrible attacks on President Trump, and he only supports him now because he couldn't beat him, because people like me supported President Trump and got him elected. I represent MAGA far more than Mark Levin or any of these other neocon suck-ups ever will and ever do, because MAGA is not for foreign wars. Yep. We are not for regime change. And we are for America first.
As you can tell, there's yet another civil war breaking out in MAGA world as MTG is sparring with Fox News anchor Mark Levin over who is most loyal to Donald Trump.
What happened to World War III? There is no World War III. They all sound like a bunch of Marxist Islamists. They don't sound like patriotic Americans. Let me be clear. This is good versus evil. You're either a patriotic American who's going to get behind the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, or you're not. So I want the so-called, I don't know what to call them, people running around, warmonger, the sloganeers. This should be an education for you, too. This should be an education for you, too. America, don't you feel relief? Of course you feel relief. Because these Islamo-Nazis were building nuclear weapons to attack us, too, with intercontinental ballistic missiles. Guess what? You can go to bed peacefully tonight. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Not because of Obama, not because of Biden, not because of the Democrats, not because of some Republicans, because of Donald Trump.
Levin followed up this pro-war celebratory rant with a reply to one of MTG's tweets criticizing the escalation in the region, which is almost entirely for the wrong reasons, to be clear, but still a criticism nonetheless. Saying, quote, Marjorie Taylor Greene, shameless nitwit. How incredibly dumb is this Marjorie Taylor Greene? She doesn't know anyone in America who has been a victim of crime or killed by Iran. You mean the thousands of Americans, especially military personnel, killed and maimed by the Iranian terrorist regime? So let's unpack what's really happening here. MTG isn't suddenly breaking with Trump over principle. She's responding, rather, to her base, a base that is more isolationist, more skeptical of endless war, and definitely more suspicious of foreign entanglements that don't serve American interests. Her criticism of this latest escalation isn't about conscience or about staying aligned with the MAGA crowd that helped put her in office. And Levin, well, he's more concerned with defending the narrative than listening to where the base is actually shifting.
Well, that's quite some name calling from one of Fox News hosts. It was hard to listen to what he was saying with all the screeching, which is why most people I know don't watch his show.
It doesn't matter what Mark Levin actually has to say. People don't watch his show. I don't know anyone that watches his show, and his screeching is absolutely unbearable. But I think Fox News needs to reel him in, although I won't expect much out of them. I think that's a media company that would love to share propaganda on their network all day long because it brings in the views.
My kids' future matters to me, and right now their generation can't buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't get good paying jobs. They can't afford groceries. They can't afford to buy a car. They can't afford gas. They don't know if they're ever going to be able to save money for their retirement because they're barely making it paycheck to paycheck. And I am so angry about this.
Now, what's fascinating is the kind of backlash MTG is getting for saying what a lot of her constituents may actually believe. Levin's attack wasn't just personal. It was, well, a warning. MAGA leaders who question the military-industrial narrative, even slightly, well, they risk being cast out. We've seen this before. The MAGA movement demands loyalty, not just to Trump, but to the full spectrum of his positions, including those that fall in lockstep with the defense establishment. And Mark Levin is hardly the only one enforcing those lines. Others in conservative media, well, they're starting to pile on, accusing MTG of being soft, disloyal, even traitorous. It's ironic because the same folks who champion America first now seem fine with pushing foreign policy that puts American lives and resources on the line, no questions asked. MTG may be trying to tap the brakes here, but the pro-war wing of the movement is, well, stomping the gas.
I ran on the exact same platform that President Trump ran on. I got elected for the exact same policies and campaign promises that President Trump got elected on. There is no break, there is no split, there is no lack of support from me to President Trump. And so this would be a narrative or a lie that you're creating or someone's asking you to create, and I will not tolerate it one single bit.
Do you think things are going in the right direction for the White House on this decision? Do you think it's going to prove they're going to prove themselves having made the right decision or not?
I know President Trump very well. He does not want to be involved in forever foreign wars. He doesn't want boots on the ground. He doesn't want to pursue these things. I think I haven't gotten the briefings that he's gotten. Congress hasn't even received a classified briefing. We get one tomorrow. I fully support President Trump, but I'm also my own person with my own opinion, and I can speak out and say I am against being involved in foreign wars. That is what I campaigned on, just like President Trump. That's why people elected me, along with the full agenda that we promised. So there's nothing wrong with me saying that I'm against this. Half Republican voters, or even more than that, are against bombing foreign countries. They are 100% against foreign wars. So it's okay for me to say things like that. And this is America, where we're allowed to have differing opinions. And I'll go back to what I said in the first place. President Trump, he clearly likes differing opinions. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinions. I fully support President Trump, and I think that his administration is doing a great job.
Have you talked to him directly about it?
I don't have to answer any more of your questions because I am sick and tired of your narrative, and I'm calling it out as complete and total.
Okay.
So we're done. No, we're done.
Even with all this back and forth, Marjorie Taylor Greene's loyalty to Donald Trump hasn't budged. She's not walking away from him, folks, far from it. And that tells us something. Her disagreement on this one issue, it's not about principle, it's strategy. MTG's long game has never been about challenging Trump's leadership. It's about preserving her standing within his orbit. This latest dust-up shows she's trying to have it both ways. Voice rare disagreement while still clinging to the power and influence that comes with being one of Donald Trump's most recognizable allies. So what happens next? If history is any guide, Trump and the pro-war wing of MAGA world won't just brush this off. Expect them to treat MTG, Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, Tim Burchett, and others skeptical of this war as disloyal or soft. Not because they're truly anti-war, but because they're not falling in line fast enough. The MAGA movement has little tolerance for nuance when the marching orders come down. And when it comes to foreign policy, especially one that feeds the military industrial complex, dissent, even from within, is rarely forgiven.